Let's get started。大家好，我是实习老师 David Wu。今天由我和我们团队的商 Giffany 教授跟我一起来给大家讲讲如何写出打动招生官的美国私立高中、大学本科或者研究生院的文书。文书这个话题，我们之前上一次讲座是在2022年整整3年前，所以我们一般2到3年我们会专门就这个题目进行一些新的更新因为知道大家过去的3年中在我们辅导学生无论是申请美国的私立高中大学本科还是研究生院、法学院、医学院，还有普通的这些硕士、博士项目中，我们又积累了很多的经验。同时呢，这几年文书呢也有很多新的要求，比如说今天我们跟之前讲座加了一部分，比如说从2022年，实际上从2023年开始人工智能这个就是说 General AI，比如像 ChatGPT、DeepSeek。这些工具应运而生，所以很多学生呢，对于如何使用这些工具尤其是对吧？现在很多学生用来写作业，那么对于文书要有什么禁忌？所以说我们正好今天来一起说一下。但是总的来说，我们还是要我们之前几年前说的主题就是说，我们今天主要是讲一讲文书要注意的地方。那么就通常来讲，这个是我们的内容目录我们先说说文书的作用、要素文书的在这3个年龄组的文书的不同的要求文书应该避免的错误我刚才说了，我们今年加了一个使用人工智能等工具的禁忌然后呢，商会给我们具体分析一下好的文书比如说申请哈佛成功的文书他写的好在哪里啊？然后呢，最后呢啊，我跟商给大家讲解一下就是说一篇优秀的文书，或者是打动招生官的文书，无论是申请私立高中、大学还是研究生院如何来头脑风暴产生好的 ideas 啊，写出了草稿以后，如何进行周密的编辑，直至最后产生一篇能够打动招生官的优秀文书的整个的过程，我们给大家讲解一下我们内部是怎么做的。先说说文书在名校申请中的主要作用，the key role of ICS in applications。这个我想在说文书之前，我想非常明显，文书在我们坐下来头脑风暴或者真正写文书之前，不管学生本人在什么阶段，在最重要的是，像我们之前一再强调的，是先把这个该做的事情做好。该做的事情，比如学术方面，那就是说学术的在学校的 GPA 和标化考试成绩，不管你是在哪个年龄段。所以这个呢，我想学校成绩、标化考试，然后呢学校的推荐信。除此之外，我们上一次1个月前的专题讲座就是讲这个课外活动，就是说除了学校的上课以外，其他应该做的，比如说科学研究，比如说各种竞赛，比如说如果是在大学的学生在暑期或者平时做的实习，这些都属于 academic，所以说是头等重要的，对吧？那么学术课外活动，当然了，如果呃除此在其他这方面呢，还有比如说在我们之前说的这些课外活动里，如何展现自己的领导力如果同时呢，在这个尤其是申请美国的私立高中，要如何准备这面试？比如说现在您如果是您的孩子如果现在是 8年级、9年级申请美国的私立高中，那么现在正好是开始了面试阶段，所以说学生和家长都要准备面试，这个我们都有分别的讲座来讲述。那么在做好学术和课外活动的前提之下，我们今天就来聊一聊文书。那么文书呢，我看到今天报名的家长和同学，是吧？有的同学已经是12年级，换句话说就是说正在写文书，对吧？那么11月1号，是吧？11月1号早晨截止，那么现在肯定是应该写完了主文书或者正在截稿。那么申请大学你如果通常来讲用 Common App 的话，对吧？你要写650字的主文书，写完主文书以后，取决于你申请的学校比如你申请10所学校、15所学校，每一篇学校通常有2篇左右的，我们叫 supplemental essays。所以说呢，我们正好今天给个例子，你可以今天正好利用这个来这个 verify 一下是否学生用的这个方法是正确的。另外，家长呢如何帮助学生，对吧？家长我们这里也强调一下在这个今天的讲座过程中，从家长的角度，因为如果您不用专业的辅导，那么学生写完或者在写的过程中，那么家长最好有对学生有这种不是说怎么写，而是说从一个 audience， 从一个观众的角度来给学生提这个 feedback。这个稍后边会讲为什么家长的 feedback 也非常重要。如果您不用专业的这种像我们这种就是专业的这种 help 的话，我想学生在写的过程中和写完以后，家长的 feedback 非常重要。OK，涉及到申请文书能够打动名校招生官的3个要素这里我之前最早在19年的时候写过专门的文章，这个就是我们在公众号上发表了很多原创文章。如果跟踪我们很多年的家长知道，我们比如说这篇文章申请文书打动名校招生官的9条精髓。所以这里我列出的3大要素是从19年，就是6年前那篇文章这个中概括出来，我给大家概括一下，就是说文章的这个要素，不管是申请美高、美本还是美研，因为我们在座的家长还有一些同学，很多是从中国的系统，包括我本人，我们的教育是在中国，我们在美国读研究生工作，所以我们从家长本身，对吧？我们实际上是还是中国这个方式，所以在写文书的时候我们会发现这个跟中国的这个就是这种方式、这种表达方式、这种思维方式有些不同。所以这里呢，我强调的要素是说，从招生官的角度，因为招生官来讲，通常美国大学的招生官通常都是学文科的、学社会学的一些地道的这种，对吧？这种方式的这种简单说这种人，那么我们如何能在5到7分钟的时间里能够打动这些招生官，对吧？所以我觉得我们简单说，从文化来讲，我们要能融入或者说适应调整到美国的这套文化，就是说选拔英才的这套文化。这里具体来说呢，我想说有3条。第一个，一定要展示产生梦想的热忱这里热忱就是 passion。那么，因为成功，对吧？在美国的文化里边，成功源于梦想。那么，学生要向学校展示你的兴趣 （your interest and your passion）。那么这里呢，就像我前面说的，要通过你的经历，以讲故事的方式来展示你有产生梦想的热忱。You have passion that can lead you to success. All right. 那么光有热忱还不够，还要有实现梦想的能力。所以第2点就是说你的 capability， 换句话说，你的 action。那么有了梦想以后，学生要向学校展示这种 action， 通过 action 这种能够实现梦想的能力。所以具体说呢，就是说学生呢，我刚才说了，学生的 talent， 学生的 啊、这个啊、不同的优秀。我们在之前讲座中经常强调，在专门规划讲座中强调要培养和能够展示，就是 unique excellence。OK，这里呢，我简单说说对这个文书，对吧？这三个不同的年龄段，不同的，对吧？比如私立高中、大学和研究生院不同的要求。上呢，I will ask Sean to join me to start giving the details about those topics. Okay, Sean basically has worked with me for almost 8 years. So he and I have, help a lot of students uh, basically developing ideas or essays. Also, Sean's very good. Sean has been, in the meantime, he's a faculty currently in Penn State. So he has very extensive experience in helping students write and edit essay. So Sean, welcome to join me. And here, let's start with how, from your perspective, especially when helping students, what kind of mistakes you think they should try to avoid? Just I name a few of them. You feel free to, give your thoughts. Okay.
Sure. So hello everybody, welcome. Um, so I read essays for college students or students going into college, but I also work with first year college students a lot. Um, and so some of the mistakes that I see in both college essays to get into college and the essays that they're writing currently, um, I'll talk about the sort of idea of bias and misinformation first, I think. Um, the students sometimes include information that isn't true, whether or not it's about themselves or they just make mistakes with respect to what it is they're talking about. So one simple thing that you want to avoid is putting wrong information in, whether or not it's about you, something that doesn't work with what else you've told people in other parts of your application, or if it's just making general mistakes about the world. They believe something, they type it into their essay, and they never really question it or look it up. And if it's something wrong, and the reader knows that, it immediately um, gives a bad impression, right? So I'm currently reading papers now where the students are talking about the history of something and they don't know their information. So they're they're frustrating me as the reader by including information that's wrong. Um, so that's one kind of thing to generally avoid. Um, Another thing, starting at the top of that list is um, negativity, right? When some students are applying to colleges, um, they want to be honest, and we want them to be honest, but there are certain topics that we don't have to bring up. And anything that's going to come off as negative, as something that's them sort of complaining about the world or saying, well, I could have done better in math, but I didn't like my teacher, that kind of thing doesn't usually go over well. Um, there's so many good things you can say about other parts of your life usually. It's better to stick to that, to not include the negative things, not to sort of complain or try to explain why you're smarter than you look, but nobody listens to you or something like that. Um, so you want to say positive things. On the other hand, right, you don't want to actually sound like you're just bragging, that you're just coming up with every good thing about yourself and listing it. Um, like something David was saying before about passion. Um, you can be passionate about something and great at it, or maybe not great at it, but still really like it and talk about it. And you can do so in a way that doesn't come off as you just saying, I'm the best at this. Um, So that's something to be careful about avoiding. Like, so we don't want to be negative. We don't want to make it sound like we're just listing all of the reasons that we're so much better than everybody else around us, even if that's what you want people to think. Um, you have to be very careful with it. And you want to make sure that the information you're putting in there about you or just other facts about the world are actually true statements.
Sean just mentioned, right, we list there. Obviously, the AI came along. Actually, right after we had presentations in 2022, ChatGPT, DeepSync, and others, to name a few. So actually doing the homework, a lot of our students are actually doing homework daily basis, right, using the AI for the reason, obvious reason, right? But when it comes down to writing essays, we want to give a guidance, given our experience, helping other students as we list here. That's why I say be very cautious. Okay, Sean, what do you think about this? Try to avoid AI if possible.
I would absolutely avoid it. Like you're saying, many schools have the AI detectors. You can use them online. If they even suspect that you're using I have a feeling that they will just move to the next one because it can be difficult. But if they think you might have, then right there, they can find an essay where they're certain somebody hasn't. Um, you also have to be careful because the output of the AI might be grammatically correct. It might cover the topics it is supposed to talk about. But as somebody who reads 125 essays this week, it's getting very easy to detect the AI ones without the detectors. They have a genericness about them. They cover the topics, but in a way that is so boring that I immediately am suspicious about certain essays and often write that yes, it's done by AI. There's a number of other clues that can show up. So the people that read these all the time will recognize most or many uses of AI, in addition to then having the software. So they can do that without actually using the software. Um, the other warning that I want to give, like David was talking about, I think for brainstorming, that I think that is safe, right? I don't think that you are violating, like just using it to come up with ideas. Um, but I have run some tests in my class where I ask the students to come up with some unique things to write about. And you have to be careful because each person that puts in a prompt to AI that says, give me some unique suggestions, ends up getting an overlap. So many of my students wrote very similar essays um, because the AI generally gave them the same kinds of ideas. So if you think, what's a good topic for a college essay, you put that into AI, there's a good chance other people are going to see similar ideas, and then you'll be writing essays that are familiar to people.
We have covered so many mistakes, try to avoid so many potential issues. Now let's focus on what are those right things to do. OK，我们应该做什么？我们之前说了不应该做什么，应该避免什么。那么商呢就通过这篇申请哈佛成功的学生文书，这是篇主文书，大家可以看到的题目就是说我们现在这也就是 discuss a accomplishment event or realization that spark a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. So Sean will use this example to demonstrate what those right things we should do. Okay, Sean, your play.
So this essay was a successful essay sent to Harvard. Um, and the student is talking about a magazine, a news magazine called Newsweek, which I think is now out of business. And the changes that they experienced through reading this magazine. And it is unconventional in some ways. It does some things that in a first-year writing class, I would suggest that people don't do until they really understand what they're doing, and then it's okay. And so what this author does, the first thing they do is they don't start off really talking about themselves. The first paragraph is them talking about this thing in the world that ultimately changed them.
So after reviewing, this example, in the last stage, let's talk about, from the framework perspective, what we may do, and at minimum, what we do here in our firm. If you come to us, how we did it. Okay. So basically,我想我们做的方法都，任何的文书的话，不管是申请美高、美本、美研，那么我想有2个阶段。第一个阶段就是头脑风暴 ，essay brainstorming。The second stage is editing. So those two are separate, but obviously at the end they kind of work together to combine. So first of all, in terms of the idea generation. From my perspective, at least here, Sean has talked about the detail. Sean will give more. But Sean, can you just give us an idea on our side, right? When we help students, the second stage, which is editing, how generally our 7-step editing process works. I know this example is kind of like too small to say, but what's the process generally?
So yeah, you can see there all the red and all the comments. So what happens is somebody, after working with David, they send an essay to me. And we usually work over the course of several back and forths. They send me the essay. The first thing I do is read it and think about, well, what don't I understand? What do I want to know more about? So I write lots of questions. I ask, what happens here? Can you tell me more about this? Is this the word you mean? Because I get a different sense. What more can you add or subtract here? Lots of questions so that the student is forced to think about, like, I want my story to say exactly what I want it to. And how do I do that? So
在座家长和同学有什么问题Sean and I will, like to answer. I just give 30 seconds so that we can collect questions. So, 你可以就是说用键来输入 ，OK，然后我们在屏幕上能看到了我和 Sean 会回答。